Hi, it's Lindsay Miller with your news headlines for February 15th. It's a federal holiday today, of course, and in Arkansas it's Daisy Bates Day. So that means a little bit of a slow news day, but wow, the weekend, lots happened. First, the biggest news story, perhaps of the year, is the death of Antonin Scalia, Supreme Court Justice, who died at the age of 79. He was on a hunting trip in West Texas and died of an apparent heart attack. His death, of course, now becomes the big issue for the presidential election, and as long as I'll say the President Obama said that he would fulfill his constitutional duty and appoint a replacement. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans have said that they will use their constitutional prerogative to block anyone Obama appoints, no matter how qualified. As long as that impasse is there, there are a lot of political implications for a court with only 8 justices. In Arkansas, or related to Arkansas, one of the big things is the Clean Power Plan, the EPA rules that seek to limit carbon emissions. That plan had been ongoing in Arkansas with stakeholders, meeting with government agencies. The plan was stayed by the Supreme Court last week. We talked about it on here and on the Arkansas blog. Now, with only 8 justices, that likely means a 4-4 tie, which would send the case, if it did reach the Supreme Court, would send it back to the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, D.C. Circuit, for where most of the judges there were appointed by Democrats, and so the plan would likely stay in place. There are countless articles speculating on what will happen and whether Senate Republicans will indeed block a nomination and prevent the president for replacing Scalia for a year. All over the web. You could spend all day reading it. We've gathered a few on the Arkansas blog, so check those out. I missed the Republican presidential debate held Saturday, but David Ramsey was there. Never before has he seen a political event that more closely resembled the Jerry Springer show, he wrote. And Dan Pfeiffer, former advisor to President Obama, said, "Tonight's debate is more evidence that one of Barack Obama's legacies is driving the GOP so insane that it is in danger of breaking." The big takeaway from the debate was Donald Trump saying things that no GOP frontrunner has ever said. For instance, obviously the war in Iraq was a big fat mistake, Trump said. We should have never been in Iraq. We just destabilized the Middle East. Close your eyes and you might have thought he was an angry liberal protester, Dave wrote in his post. You should check it out. He did a live blog. It's the best recap of the night that you could find. Meanwhile, ABC News reports that Donald Trump said today that I signed a pledge, but it's a double-edged pledge as far as I'm concerned. They're in default of their pledge, speaking of the Republican pledge, that none of the candidates would run as a third-party candidate if they didn't seek the nomination. So Donald Trump, while he's far ahead in the polls and seems like the likely nominee, is already threatening to blow up the process if he doesn't win. Fun times. Meanwhile, it was a big weekend for Little Rock native Jeff Nichols. The filmmaker debuted his latest film, Midnight Special, at the Berlin Film Festival to mostly positive reviews. He also sold his next film, Loving, the story of Richard and Mildred Loving, a white man and a black woman who married in Virginia in the 1950s and were promptly imprisoned. And of course that spawned the Loving Supreme Court case, one of the great civil rights victories of the era. I'm Lindsay Miller, and that's all we've got today. Check the Arkansas blog for much, much more. See you tomorrow.